1.5-minute rounds. Boxing out of the red corner, from Boca Pal Gym, Ryan Schneider. In the blue corner.
Welcome back to the Boxing Championships, the Silver Gloves. This is our 9th match of the afternoon, featuring Ryan Schneider out of the Boca Pal and Ricardo Campos out of Putnam.
I'll tell you what, the Boca Police Athletic League also, I spoke on behalf of Rick Bradshaw and Chief Mike Gogger. The Boca Pal has done an excellent job over the years of making juvenile crime prevention a priority, and they have impacted a lot of young people's lives that have gone on to be very, very successful adults and contributors in our community.
We're looking at 139-pound boxers in this match. Ryan Schneider in red, Ricardo Campos in the blue.
As a former coordinator for the Police Athletic League with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, when we had our young men, our young competitors at many different shows, we always knew that we had to be ready for the Boca boxers.
Well, this is Ryan Schneider's opportunity to shine for that club, that PAL down in Boca. Action in the middle of the ring. Both boxers feeling each other out. Nice right hand there by Campos.
Ryan Schneider really stepped into that one jab. I don't know if you noticed that, Josh, later in that round. As we mentioned earlier, jabbing gyms, jabbing boxers, it's such a key to the success of in all boxing, especially in the amateurs.
You could argue it's the most important punch that you learn, and you can always perfect it. You can always perfect it. There's never a day where you have a perfect one, and then it doesn't hurt, like you guys said before, to move forward while you throw it. You're just adding a little bit more force to it. Why not?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You got fighters like Triple G nowadays, Gennady Golovkin. Every single punch or every combination he throws is predicated from a jab first. You have to have that stiff jab first, and then he throws everything else. I see a lot of success with that.
As we watch this fight going into the second round, I'm going to ask both of you guys, because you know a lot more than I do, and this is just it's an opinion. It is nothing else, but based on what we see with amateur boxing and youth boxing, when does styles change for these kids when they get older and they become a professional? This is what they want to do, and all of a sudden their entire approach to the game becomes a little bit more elaborate, a little bit more show business. I don't say it takes away from their talent in any way, but they get away from that amateur structure. Why does that happen, and when does that happen?
Well, having an amateur background gives, you don't have to have an amateur background to be a successful professional, but it doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt at all.
But an example of Bonnie Canino, this is her analogy. She's in the ring right now. She's our referee. Styles, kind of like rock, paper, scissors. When you play that game as a kid, it's important to be able to adapt and have different styles and different approaches to adapt to your opponent in order to be successful. What you want to do as a trainer is you want to emphasize and focus on your boxer's advantages, i.e., in this example, if you're the taller, longer boxer, you want to utilize that reach. You want to utilize your height. That's your priority when coming into boxing matches. And you want to definitely emphasize those advantages and use them as much as possible.
What you were saying before, Mark, about when do you think that change happens, especially with the personality, I'd like to think that a lot of that happens, especially after you find success in the Olympics, because we know what the next step is when you usually are successful in the Olympics. You're going to go professional, and that's where you know the money comes in. So I think a lot of it comes down to that big paycheck, knowing that's right around the corner. And then because it is the fight game, it is a promotional business, you got to sit there and start making a name for yourselves. There are too many fighters who don't get a shot at the big stars, at the big lights, because they're just simply not a known fighter. So you got to sit there and add a little personality. You got to sell it to the average, everyday person, not the everyday boxing fan, the everyday person.
But to answer your question, the most successful people in this business are the ones that stick to the true discipline. And that's being disciplined, that's being in the gym, that's training, that's being with good people in your corner and associating with good people in your life. When you keep that consistent, you, in the long run, will be more successful. But when does that change? I don't think it should ever change, because it's the discipline of the sport and staying dedicated and true and honest to yourself and to the people around you. If you can keep that and you can hang in there, in the long run, you should be able to succeed.
Okay. Two very good answers. Thanks a lot, guys. Very, very good. Ryan Schneider in the red, and Ricardo Campos in the blue. This is our third round.
I've seen Campos as the aggressor the majority of the fight. Schneider just seems to be pretty gassed. He seemed to have been early in the second round as well. A lot of big hooks that he's throwing, landing or not landing. When you throw a punch and you miss, you're expending a lot more energy than if you were to land that punch. So every time you miss, you're taking a lot more gas out than if you would have landed that punch.
And that was a great question, Mark, that you'd mentioned, and it ties into this whole philosophy that's the most important thing when it comes to youth sports and amateur sports is staying consistent in life. Staying around the right people, staying out of trouble, associating with the right people. And right here, as you notice them tying up here late in the third round, when they tie up like that, a lot of energy is being expended, and it really, really is difficult. It takes a lot of energy out of both opponents. What we strive for, I'm sorry, Mark.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
What we strive for in Cops Helping Kids, our foundation, Police Athletic League programs, is we strive for consistency in life. And
in the blue corner, Ricardo Campos.
I think it was another appropriate decision.
Yeah. And we will be back with more from the Silver Gloves Boxing Championships right after this.